All right, we are live with
Hello, hello, hello.
me, Square Bay Chad, and
Me, but
hey, I got it
Travis.
right this time.
Yep,
Travis with
Pet Project.
Perpetual Project.
And I'm
How's
gonna
everybody?
look at my
Yeah,
background and see where you are.
yeah. So, how's your week been, Travis?
uh, well, my week started off pretty rough. Um, so after the live last week on Wednesday, at 11 o'clock at night, we were watching some storms come through here, and it was just about to wrap up and go over the top of us and be done. And I'm watching the radar, and I see this little hook developing on the radar, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't look good. And about the time I saw it, the weatherman says, oh, we got a hook developing in Hazel Green, which is right there. And I'm like, oh. And then he's like, oh yeah, this is a tornado. He opened the debris field or whatever, and it was throwing debris up. And I'm like, oh no. Well, we had been planning to run north if anything happened because the storms didn't look as bad to the north. But when he
Yeah.
zoomed in, the tornado was on the street that's 2 miles that way.
Oh, wow.
So we're like, crap. So we jumped in the Jeep, grabbed the dogs, and we keep a go bag packed during this time of
Yeah.
year or when the storms are coming through. She grabbed the bags, grabbed the dogs, throw them in the Jeep, and we started going south. Well, we're watching the weather as we're going south, and uh, there's a severe thunderstorm warning in Huntsville and another storm that's trying to produce tornadoes south of us, and that tornado's north of us. So we went to Dollar General, parked right up next to the building, and waited it out. And then Thursday was pretty good, and then Friday, we had a massive windstorm come through and knocked the power out for 48 hours.
Yeah. Yeah,
Your week?
I seen some of that on Facebook.
Yeah,
Trying to keep up with that. It
we had
sucks
a
being
bunch
without
of
power for
rain.
a couple of days.
You don't realize how much you rely on it until you don't
Mm,
have it.
yeah.
And then I went out to fire up the generator and it wouldn't start. So uh, I tried Friday, and then Saturday, rather than work on the generator like I should have, we went and bought a car.
No. Yeah. Priorities.
Yeah, came home Saturday night, and so before we went to No Name Nationals, that generator had sat for 10 years, and I thought I got it. I got the gas tank and everything cleaned out good enough. Apparently not, because the generator had a stuck valve.
Oh.
So I carefully massaged it loose and played with it until it was working good and cleaned. I actually drained the tank this time, cleaned the carburetor out, and I fired it up every day since then. It seems to be running good now.
Yeah.
Has
Now
a healthy
then you.
dose of seafoam in the tank right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I keep that in my generator, especially before I shut it off and store it. I'll make sure it's got plenty of seafoam in it.
I put seafoam in all of my gas cans that like for all my yard equipment and stuff. That way, it's always got seafoam in it. It just seems
Yep,
it's not expensive and it seems like a good way to keep things working better.
yep. I guess since I don't actually have a topic for this live, uh, we're kind of waiting for people to show up, which we've got several people showing up. Kind of go through the list here. Of course, Tasha, that's Shellman's girlfriend. She said she's in here for him since he's at work tonight, but he showed up too. But
Oh,
he must be on break. JB's Little Shop, Chucky's Garage, Turbo Tom 416, Family's Garage, Quality Control is here, of course. Ugly Truck Experience, they're here. Family's Garage, Busted Grill Garage. I think I got all of them.
I think
Uh,
so.
yeah, so I guess maybe we could talk about, you know, additives like the Seafoam or Lucas or, because that could be, some people think some of them just kind of snake oil.
Yeah,
Some of them can be, I guess. I've got a few products that I'm not sponsored by them by any means, but I've used them for many, many years and have seen their benefits, and I will promote them
I do as well. Probably similar
always.
ones.
Yeah, I think you and I have actually had this conversation
Probably.
before, but it'd be a I think it'd be a good topic for tonight for those of you joining in. We're going to talk about different additives. Uh, either like fuel additives, oil additives, what have you. We'll start there and then see where it goes tonight. But so you finally got your power back.
Yep.
Well, Richard's in here.
Looks like Chucky's at work tonight too.
Yeah. Quality control suggests we could talk about the truck gathering. Yeah, we could
We could.
discuss that too, as far as since it's getting closer. A little more of our plans of what we might be doing, which we were discussing a little bit before we went live. But
Yeah.
yeah, we can. So I guess my week has been since last week's live. I worked a bunch. It was our shutdown week, and now this week is our startup week. We're trying to get all this equipment that's been messed with going
Running again.
again. Yeah,
Yeah.
and one of the machines in my area, which is one of the casers that actually put the because we make uh, coffee drinks like Starbucks, high brew, uh, coffee based energy drinks,
Oh wow.
uh, 8 ounce. See, we go 6.5 ounce, 8 ounce. I think we have some 12 ounce, kind of like a soda can, and we got 15 ounce. We also got the glass line that does glass bottles for Starbucks. But my position, my area is the dry side for canning aluminum. We also do steel cans. They're like Sport Shake.
Okay.
Um, but anyways, on the dry side, my area is where they case it. The full cans are cooked. They're ready to go to get put in the cardboard cases and wrapped in the cellophane and stacked on pallets. So the casers, we got one of them that's to compare it to a vehicle, it'd be like probably a '50s type vehicle where it's all chains and sprockets
Yeah.
and clutches. There's electronics on there that control it as far as the timing, but if we changed every chain on this machine, which there's probably 100 chains on it,
Oh
and
wow.
if you're off one tooth on one chain, it can mess everything up. So it's a process to get it retimed. Uh, and I didn't really think about it till last week when I was doing this. Uh, the old timers, I call them, the guys that I replaced, are no longer there.
Yeah.
It's up to guys like me
You are the
with
old
seven
timer.
years, with 7 years experience to know how to do that. Because the guys below me, they don't know. Uh, and it's been a couple of years since I've done any real work on that machine since I've been in the engine room. So I spent I spent probably a good full 8 hours just double checking, make sure it was retimed,
Yeah.
and had one of the guys uh, put an extra half link on a set of chains that you can't add any half links, you can't add anything to it, and I didn't
Oh.
realize it. So every revolution of this set, it would jump time by half a link, and it's like I couldn't figure out why it kept jumping time because there's another chain that's timed with it that wasn't jumping. So it's like, where's what's going on? So I just had to sit there and push the button and just sit there and watch it go. And finally, as that half link came up, it was black, and the rest of the chain's silver. I'm like, wait a minute, what's that? Yeah. So I got tape measure out, measured, and oh yeah, I got an extra half an inch or half a link in there, number 60 chain. So it's a pretty good jump, and so I was able to get everything back in time. But this week is we're actually putting into production, so it can be a mess.
Yeah.
But I kind of enjoy. I do enjoy it. It's actually keeping me more motivated and getting my mind working more than what it used to, and
Good.
but other than that, we've I've been trying to work on the little 339 stroker and get some stuff done on it. And I know, I guess I could move the camera a little bit, but Squeaky's for everybody else there. Squeaky's playing Lieutenant Dan right now. He ain't got no legs. I got the wheels and tires off of him, getting ready to go into race mode because hopefully, if everything goes right, we'll be going to the track this weekend for some testing tunes.
Good luck.
So that's been my week and what I've been doing. Let's try to catch up on the chat before we get into talking about. We'll just talk about Seafoam first because we've already mentioned it.
Yeah.
Shellman.
Messed up his chest.
Yeah.
I have a funny story about that.
Okay.
After you get
Go
done
ahead.
catching up on the chat.
Let's see if there's.
Chucky says,
Okay. Well,
sounds like
hopefully he done it at work. I hope I pronounced his name right. Hava Elim. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right or not, but I'm from Southern Missouri, so we don't. Java. He's been working on a square body Suburban.
Yeah.
Trying to get a 40-gallon tank back in. Yeah. All right, Shelman's got to go to work.
See you, Shellman.
Ugly Truck Experience asked if we're going to ORP, and yeah. It took me a second to realize what ORP was. Ozark Raceway Park. That's the drag strip. Yeah.
Oh,
I'll be going to I'll be going to Rogersville on Saturday. It's their opening day. If everything goes right, I've still got some work I got to get done in the truck. And so yeah, if I go, I'll be going to Rogersville. It'd be cool if you guys could come and hang out. Jerry and Emily from Ugly Truck Experience. Tasha said that one of her supervisors is taking a truck. I guess I can click. I forget that I'm in control tonight, so I could actually click the.
I don't think I highlighted one comment last week. I'm not very good at that.
But yeah, let me know his name. Hopefully that'd be fun. Jacob with Busted Grill Garage. His wife is scheduling stuff for him, so he's not gonna be able to make it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Sunday is my birthday, so it'll be my birthday celebration at the racetrack. Thanks, Chucky. Yes, Emily, Jerry, I'll try to remember to let you know. If you don't hear from me, send me a message. I'm still not. I still haven't got everything in my brain lined out for the scheduling for working day shift. It's like I haven't been able to watch any videos like I used to, and keeping up with Facebook and social media. I've just kind of still struggling a little bit.
Yeah, I've never been good at that whole keeping up with social media thing.
Yeah,
I get on Facebook, and I'll be honest, I spend way too much time on Facebook, but I'm not good at actually like looking at Facebook. I'm a sucker for the clickbait stuff, like all the funny jokes and the cartoons, and I'll sit there and realize 45 minutes later that I've been looking at this stupid cartoon thing for the last 45 minutes, and they have my mind work, I guess, because they put the one that I want to see, that I want to see the rest of it. They show you part of it, and you have to go through the whole list to find the one you want to see the rest of. And by then you're committed, so you have to finish it. Yeah,
and sometimes the one they baited you with isn't even in there.
Oh yeah, all the time.
And an hour later, you're like, then you remember, well, I never even seen that one. So
Yeah,
yeah, I've been there. I've been down that rabbit hole.
and then marketplace.
Yeah, yeah. I try to stay off the marketplace because it just like I don't need anything, and but
Yeah, but
need
there's
doesn't
so much
really.
stuff that I want.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just it kind of goes back to back when it was just horse or what we had the horse trader around here, the
So we had the thrifty
weekly,
nickel.
yeah, the weekly trader. You go through that and go to the convenience store, pick up two or three of the traders, and go through all them, see what's for sale, and uh, anyways, uh,
So my
thank you
story
for that.
relates to
Yeah,
Spellman's chest.
yeah,
So I've been doing body work. Unfortunately, it's on a Jeep. Uh, wait, everybody's saying Buff, but I don't see a comment from Buff.
yeah. I don't see Buff's. I was just thinking that. It's like I don't see Buff's comment.
Maybe he deleted it.
Uh, I don't know.
That's weird.
He
Anyhow,
shouldn't.
so I've been doing body work on the Jeep, and not good body work, just trying to make
Yeah,
it somewhat flat. But so I spent most of the day. What's today? Today's Tuesday. So most of the day, Sunday, I spent no, it'd been yesterday. Yesterday, I spent most of the day sanding. I woke up this morning and I'm like, oh, I've got chest pains, and I'm like, why do I have chest pain? And then I'm like, oh yeah, sanding. I don't know what I pulled in my chest right here sanding yesterday, but
uh,
it's been a long time since I did any sanding, and I was hurting this morning. I feel better now, but I
okay,
oh, okay.
that makes sense. But yeah, you pulled a sanding muscle that.
Yeah, whatever, something in my I don't know, my pec, or I don't know, but apparently not a muscle I've used in a long time, because a little bit of sanding, and I didn't even do a lot of sanding. I did a little bit of sanding, and I was hurting this morning.
Yeah, yeah. He probably pulled a muscle in his chest, and that can I could send pain to your back if you pull a rib. I've done that before. Pull a rib, get a rib out of place,
Yeah,
and either in my back or my sternum, and either way, it translates all the way around because that rib is out, and
yeah.
it can, of course,
So
being fat and old, it doesn't help any.
I hear you there. Uh,
That was last week. I'm trying to work on these machines, and I've got to wiggle my way into them sometimes, and work in some or positions that I'm not used to,
yeah,
and it's yeah,
that's that is me. Like I did body work for a while. I went to college for it, and back then it was no big deal to sand
yeah,
a panel or something. I sanded. I mean, a Jeep is not very big. There's not much real estate there.
yeah,
I got to sand on that, and so I started with an air file because I was not trying to do hand blocked body work, but my air
yeah,
file wasn't working, so I tried a regular long block for a while. Man, I think I sanded this much Jeep, like a foot of Jeep, and I was winded. I'm like, crap. I'm not. I don't have the muscle group for this anymore.
yeah.
But
I I can't remember what it was. I was working on this 339
yeah,
uh, during the pre-assembly process. I had to torque something, and I think it was maybe in the main caps. 80 foot-pounds,
yeah,
and I went to torque that. Pulled them. I can't remember where I pulled it. I pulled a muscle. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
yeah. I did tires on my truck today, and had to torque 8 lug nuts times four to I think I torqued them to around, I think 100. I think I
Yeah,
torqued them to 105. And by the time I was done with that, I'm like, man, I so I used to work on big truck engines,
yeah,
and the main bolts on a cat, and I'm probably going to screw this up, but if I remember right, they torque I think you torque them to like 100 and I don't know. I had a book, so I don't remember. I don't
Yeah,
remember, but it's like 100 and something plus 90 degrees.
yeah.
It's a lot. Like it works out to more than a torque wrench. That's why they do it that way. It works out to like 400 foot-pounds, and I remember torquing those. I don't think I could do it. I think I would physically pass out before I get the main bolt torque on a cat engine today.
There's Jacob Carter, square body. What's going on, Jacob? We're just kind of like two old men sitting on the porch, griping about how things hurt nowadays, and
Yeah.
we used to be able to do this, used to be able to do that, and yeah, but that's I at work I was doing something. I had to hand it to one of the younger guys to read it. I didn't have any reading glasses. I said, I can't read this. Can you read this? I'm
I had
like,
that
oh
memory
wait,
torque wrench today. I I
uh,
I can't I like I can see it, but I can't make out exactly where the lines are at
yeah,
anymore. So I'm like, here, set this.
yep,
So
yep. It's
let's talk about additives, not about how decrepit and old we are.
well, I guess we could also talk about additives we need to take to get by.
Yeah,
Physically nowadays. The ibuprofen and of course I try not to take too much of that anymore, but
I don't. Once in a great while, I'll take a couple ibuprofen, but that's pretty much all I take.
probiotics to keep my digestive system working correctly, and but
Yeah,
w-
we
we
did
could
that for
save
a
we
little
could
while.
save
I
that
did
for
that
after
for
hours.
decades.
But
Oh,
so what's your well we you said you use seafoam, so
I do.
we'll assume that it's a product that you endorse, and I endorse it too. I've what's I guess what we could do is, or what we could say is, instead of just saying, well, yeah, we use it, it seems like it works. I've got some experiences with it that I know for a fact that it works, and you know, I'm sure you do too. So why don't you share, if you got one of those experiences, share it with everybody. So it's not just how we think it works.
So I guess my biggest thing with the seafoam, and this isn't just like the seafoam, the regular seafoam additive. This is the spray can for like
Uh-huh.
make it smoke.
Yeah.
As an experiment, I had Amber. I bought Amber like a '07 Scion TC, and it had balance shafts in the bottom, and they're part of the lower case. It's a mess anyway. The
Yeah.
bearings were bad in it. We bought it, so I knew that I was going to have to overhaul the engine. So just to try it, I did the seafoam treatment and made all the smoke and everything else. And when I pulled that engine apart, the top end of the motor looked brand new. Like the pistons were clean,
Yeah.
all the valves and it was clean inside. And that was really my first real experience with seafoam. See you, Buff.
See you, Buff.
Um, and then I like seafoam as a fuel stabilizer because you have the added benefit of it helps clean stuff. And then also I've used seafoam to like clean up like pistons and stuff, like cleaning the
Hmm.
carbon and stuff off pistons, and it seems like it does a really good job. That's the I guess I'm just a believer in seafoam. I don't have a lot of personal experience like back to back tests or anything scientific. I don't see where it causes any problems, and it seems to help.
Yeah. Well, that's your experiences are different than mine, but they're all that's good because maybe not super scientific, but you've used it and seen it work.
Yeah,
Uh, I've never used like the spray can like you said you used. I've always just used the pour-in additive in the fuel.
yeah,
Uh, when I had my own shop and I was working on ATVs, dirt bikes, stuff like that, that was my first step. If someone brought one in and said they need the carburetor cleaned, it's been sitting a little while, it kind of runs. It will run, but it's just kind of rough.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, as long as there's as long as it'll rev up and actually pull itself, I would dump the fuel out and put fresh fuel in, and then a real heavy dose of seafoam, and start it up, let it run for a little bit, and then shut it off, let it sit for a little while, and then take it for a drive.
Yeah.
Because there's a 50-50 chance uh, it's either going to clear it out or it's going to break it all up. If it's big enough chunks, it'll break it up and plug it all the way up. Either
Yeah.
way, I mean, they were already looking to pay for a carb clean,
Yeah.
but sometimes that's all it needed was just some
Just needed
seafoam
one.
run through it. And I just, I'd say, you know what, just don't, I wouldn't charge them for fuel, wouldn't charge them for anything. Just come get it. It's running good. There is a chance that maybe it, might start acting up. I said, but I've put half a gallon of fuel through it and runs fine. So sometimes it actually saved my customers some money. But then other times, like I said, there was a couple that it had big enough stuff built up that it was running okay, and
Then it
then
wasn't.
yeah, then it wasn't. Then I'd have to drag it back to the shop out of the field where I test drove them, and clean the carburetor out because but it worked. That's the thing, is it worked
Yeah.
As a cleaner and as a stabilizer, which it's also advertised to be used for. Uh, I had a '87 Kawasaki 700 V twin street bike, and this is back when forums on the internet. I first got into forums on the internet, and I got on a forum all about these motorcycles. They said they're super, super finicky about being stored. Of course, you're supposed to drain the fuel out, store them dry over the winter or whatever. Or, they said if you're going to store them with fuel in them, put seafoam in it. And like, that's when I first actually found out about seafoam. And well, the first winter, I didn't do that, and it took forever for that thing to start and run right.
Yeah.
And I ended up draining the gas out, putting fresh gas in it, and then it finally started running okay. Well, the next winter, I put a heavy dose of seafoam and fresh gas in it before I parked it for the winter. The next spring, and I just stuffed it off in the side of the shop, inside and out of the way, and never messed with it till spring. And put a little charge on the battery, it fired right up and ran perfect right off the bat.
Nice.
And I'm pretty confident that was because of the seafoam being a good stabilizer.
Well,
Uh,
that's what, like I said, that's what I do in all of my gas for my lawnmowers and stuff, and I have yet to have a problem. So I'm just assuming it's working because they sit all winter. They don't get used all winter. I mean, once in a while, but they don't get new gas all winter for sure.
yeah. Well, I know my generator and my chainsaws and her weed eaters and stuff. I always put the seafoam in there just like you do, and I never have any issues with bad fuel. Uh, it seems to work pretty good. Shopcat says he's going to look at a ex-government telephone C10. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool project. Another seafoam instance that it wasn't me that done it. It was my neighbor. But they asked me, what they should use. I said, because they bought a car. I think it was a mid '80s, maybe early '90s Thunderbird.
Okay.
Uh, Anyhow, I never even seen the car, but they said it kind of runs rough. It just seems like it's carboned up a little bit. I said, well, just get you a can of seafoam, take one of the vacuum lines loose, and have someone rev it up. Keep it running, and not a big vacuum line, one of the small ones.
The
I
brake
said,
was
and just
wide.
yeah, you don't want to hydrolock it, but just suck some of that seafoam up in there and keep it running, and do that, and then let it set overnight, and then start it up and run it. I said that's what the can or what I've seen, is recommended to do. So I could hear them. I could hear them over there revving it up and all that stuff, and because they were about a quarter mile away from me, couldn't see their house, but I could hear them through the woods. And then the next day, I remember hearing it fire up, and then it died. I'm like, oh, that don't sound good. But here they come. Said it. I said, man, it really smoked a bunch whenever he's doing that. I said, well, that's normal. He said, but we started it up today, and then it just like choked out. I said, I thought about it for a minute. I said, oh, you got a catalytic converter, don't you?
Uh-oh.
Like, yeah. I said, well, seafoam done its job, and it knocked all that carbon loose, and now your catalytic converter's plugged up. I said, you'll have to remove the exhaust to make sure. I said, I think that's all that's happened. They was afraid they blew the car up, and I was feeling bad because, but no, probably an hour or two later, I hear it fire up with straight pipes, there's open manifolds, and they're revving it up, it's revving up good. Like, yep, that's all it was. And they come back. I said, I heard it. It's running good now, ain't it? Yeah, that thing runs really good now. And they pulled spark plugs out. They were sparkly clean, and like, and now we got to put a new catalytic converter on
Well,
or gut it out,
that's
whatever. But
I think that a lot of times that's how these products get a bad rap.
yeah,
They do what they're supposed to do, but just because it cleaned, one part of the engine,
yep,
sometimes that's not good for other parts of the system.
yeah, yep,
Just like with your four wheelers or and ATVs, it cleaned
yep,
all that carbon out, but it was too big to pass through the carburetor, so it plugged
yeah,
the carburetor up, and it did what it was supposed to do.
yep,
But it can only do so much.
yeah. When I would
Sometimes you
those
have to
those
go to
certain
mechanical.
ones I done that, when I pulled the carburetor apart, it would have big chunks,
Yeah,
of stuff broke loose inside the fuel. And I would use seafoam a lot as a carb cleaner just to soak the parts in.
yeah,
Uh, but another product I think you and I have talked about in the past is Lucas oil treatment,
yes,
which you come from the big truck world, which that seems to be like a staple
yes. It is.
for the big truck industry.
Yeah, I mean, you go to any big truck oil change place, and every one of them offers it as part
Yeah,
of a oil change service. Like that's a
yeah,
normal thing to get Lucas added a gallon of Lucas with an oil change, and I did
yep,
every time I change oil on my big truck, and I do on my pickup. Um, I can't. I don't think I did on the. I wasn't doing it on the Magnum because they're pretty sensitive to oil viscosity. So I
yeah,
didn't mess with it in those, and I don't in Amber's Jeep. All these really low viscosity oils, it might be all right, but I just don't want to take a chance. I mean, if something's running 520,
yeah.
Lucas can make that pretty thick pretty fast.
Well, what I use for those is the Lucas. Is it full synthetic or semi-synthetic additive?
Yeah,
It's
there's a
it's a
full
it's a
synthetic.
super thin. It's a super thin additive for modern engines that runs thin. I run that in my Duramax. I run full synthetic T6 Rotella in my Duramax, and the full synthetic Lucas in it.
Yeah, I just in my truck I run regular T4 Rotella, and I buy the Lucas in the gallon and then just
Yeah,
dump a quart in at a time.
yeah. I've as far as a Lucas oil stabilizer, which I use a lot of Lucas products. I've uh, their assembly lubes and all sorts of their products, but the main one, the oil stabilizer, I buy it by the gallon, and I'll put it into quart jugs just so it's easier to add to an oil change. But every
Yep.
one of my vehicles gets uh, that stabilizer in it, and the one, well, every engine that I've run it in, that I've actually been into before, then run Lucas in it, and then tear it down later, they still look perfect inside. They'll have a kind of a sticky film, and
Yeah.
even if uh, you tear one down and set it to the side for a while, and takes a while to get back to it. I've even got parts, crankshafts and stuff that's been sitting out my lean-to, not really enclosed. I mean, it's got a roof, but that's about
Yeah.
it. So I've got stuff that's sitting out there that I ran Lucas in that are sitting out bare that I didn't treat any other way, but they're still look like I pulled them out yesterday.
That's what sold me on it. Is so I had different guys that when I'd work on their trucks, they would different. Some guys used it, some guys didn't, and the ones that used it, when I'd go to run an overhead on them, I'd pull the valve cover off, and I could tell just by the way everything filled if it or felt if it was a guy that was running Lucas or not. And it wasn't like there was a buildup of oil; it was just a
No,
film.
the
It
film.
wasn't thick; it was clean. It wasn't like a you everybody's torn down an old engine that has that black nasty sludge in the valve cover.
Crusty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this wasn't that. It was just a thin coating of clean oil, and
Yep.
it was sticky. It felt like everything had oil clinging to it, and
Yep.
that's after that, and seeing that multiple times, that sold me on Lucas, and I've run it in everything ever since then.
Yep. Well, it's 339. Uh, when it was just a 305, I ran the Lucas in it. Of course, with all the blow by, because it had like a probably a quarter-inch ring gap in it by the time I got done. Uh, because the cylinders were so wore out. So it had a lot of blow by. So when I pulled it apart, the crankcase, everything kind of had uh, it had that film, but it was also, you touch it and it was black.
Yeah.
It's dark. And
Well,
it's like, why is it so dark? So, oh, because all the blow by, no big
diesels
deal.
are
And,
black anyway.
huh?
Diesels are black anyway. You build a brand new
Yeah,
diesel engine, clean everything out completely, and within 10,000 miles, it's black, black, black in there.
yeah. Well, this was a 305, so
Yeah.
it wasn't a. I mean, it ran on that nitrous, but no, I had it. I remember getting a comment on one of my videos, the teardown of that, and the guy commented, "You need to get away from conventional oil that leaves all that black crusty stuff everywhere." I'm like, I didn't even respond because it wasn't, you know, I didn't want to have an argument or start an argument because that wasn't what it was. That black look wasn't from a crusty stuff. It was sticky, filmy stuff. And actually, the camshaft, uh, which I'm reusing in it right now, uh, I just pulled that camshaft out of that 305, wrapped it in plastic, and stuck it on a shelf.
Yeah.
And I think it's getting close to a year now since I tore that thing down. I don't remember when it was I did tear it down, but I got to thinking, man, I never did do anything with that camshaft and pull it out of the engine and wrap it up. I didn't
Yeah.
treat it with nothing. Well, I pulled it out of the plastic and it looks exactly like it did whenever I stuck it in the plastic. It's still got that sticky Lucas film on it.
Awesome.
I honestly, I wiped it down because it was clean, but I just kind of wiped it down, put some lube on the journals, and stuck it in the block just so I could do some mock up. I got a test for push rod length stuff. I just stuck it in there. I want to make sure it didn't hit the crankshaft or anything else, the stroker stuff. But I'm going to pull it back out and clean it good. But it was still clean enough. Uh, I just use it the way it was. NSB Customs is in here. Streetcar Chronicles popped in. First Responders Garage has popped in. And Bad Tree Productions, new member. Look at there. Thanks, guys. Blue Star. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know
I
anything
don't know
about
what
it.
else. I don't know what else you're expecting.
So, and
I appreciate it, guys.
this is maybe controversial, but you said the using all the Lucas products and like using their assembly lube. I for a long time have just been using Lucas oil stabilizer straight as assembly lube. I
Me
mean,
too.
it
Yep.
sticks to everything. It's thin enough that it presses out, and you're gonna have it in. I'm gonna have it in the oil anyway, so I don't have to
Yeah.
worry. Like, I don't use it on the cam on a flat tappet cam. I use something made for a flat tappet cam, but everywhere else in the engine, I use Lucas. Well, I guess not everywhere else. On the bearings, on the pistons, I
Yeah.
use whatever oil I'm going to be
Yeah.
running in the engine, and then on the bearings, I use Lucas oil stabilizer, and I've had good
Yeah.
luck with it. I've never had a problem.
Yeah. Because it'll be there 10 years from now and still be.
Even if you don't get it put
Yeah.
started right away.
Yep. I've seen some engines been put together with like the white Molly lube or a luber plate, and over time it kind of hardens up a little bit, or it
So that luber plate, I don't remember. I don't
it will
remember if it
also
was engine in
it
an engine or somewhere else, but it turns into like a crusty, nasty, hard mess if it sits for a long time.
yeah. Yeah, and it also, I mean, it does break down in the oil, but it can also plug your oil filter up before it breaks down if you have a lot of it in there. So
Yeah,
I used to use it. One
we
of the
did
old
for a while.
timers that, yeah, one of the old timers that I learned some engine building stuff from used it a lot, and uh, but yeah, I've also seen him tear apart engines that sat in the side of the shop for a while, have to tear them back apart to clean them again.
Yeah.
So let's see. You'll never use foam after you use PRI CP123 gas treatment. Uh, and I'm not going to argue because I've actually never heard of it.
Me
I've
either.
never, and it may not be something that we can get in our area. And that's one thing with additives or fluids, anything I use, and I suggest to other people, try to use something that works and is also available to you. Which in this day and age, pretty much order everything anyways. But
Yeah, I've never
I
heard of
may
that
look
one.
into that. I may look into that. Uh,
Looks
John
like John
Wilburn
got
come in
2 guys
here.
over 500 subscribers tonight. That's awesome.
That's cool. Yeah, yeah. It's fine. Uh, I'm not worried about the overlapping. It's busy on the YouTubes. We got a lot of people that in our No Name Nationals family,
Yes.
uh, putting videos out in the evenings every day of the week. So it's hard. We're always going to have someone that's getting overlapped, and uh, that's cool. Hot Rod Guy Garage. All right, got some guys to 500 subs. Got some more No Name Nationals people going to show up. That's cool.
Oh, we officially got registered for No Name Nationals finally.
Okay, that's good.
We're being slackers. Amber took care of it today.
So, okay, so we've talked about. Seafoam and Lucas is my two main go-to like additives
Yeah.
that I believe wholeheartedly in. Um, trying to think if there's, as far as like just regular engine oil, I've always been a Castrol GTX guy, but uh, I'm honestly switching everything over just to kind of, I can't remember the word now, standardize
Yeah.
everything. Um, my tractors, my trucks, my square bodies. I'm just going to start running the T4 Rotella in them, 1540, because I've also seen it used in gas rigs for 300,000 miles, and they still look almost new inside.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of T4 Rotella. When I was working on diesel trucks again, if the trucks that ran Rotella were always cleaner inside.
Yeah, yep. And like I said, I've always been a Castrol GTX fan. Uh, and it's not that I don't like it anymore. It's just it seems like in my area, I usually run like a 1040.
Yeah.
They never have it in stock. 1040 is never in stock. I'm like, well, now I've got to. What am I going to do? So, well, I'm just going to start switching over to 1540, and that way, as long as I've got several gallons of it, everything's got oil except for, of course, my Duramax. It gets the. And I thought about switching back to T4 for it. It really doesn't need the full synthetic. I don't think it's going to hurt anything to switch back to the regular T4, and that just be one less extra two and
Jug.
a half gallon jug I have to have around for oil change.
Yeah.
Uh, but the Ram, it needs its own different oil. Than it won't do good with the T4. It needs
No.
to have that super thin, full synthetic stuff, and then the Tahoe, it doesn't like conventional type oils. It needs the thinner oil. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So hold on. I've seen. I appreciate you, John, for plugging the
Yeah.
Tailgate
Thank you.
Talk Show. Uh, so first responders put diesel fuel. I don't see that would hurt anything. And
But
then
wait,
ugly truck
did it have
experience.
any oil in it with the diesel fuel, or just diesel fuel as oil?
Uh, I wonder if he used it as the fuel or as the in the oil. I'm
Yeah.
sure he'll respond back and expound on the usage of the diesel fuel.
I'm sure he had a good reason.
Uh, so ugly truck experience. The debate: WD-40 versus PB Blaster. They're to me they're two completely different products.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
I like. I hate. I don't like the smell of PB Blaster. First of all,
I
I I that's but so yeah. I don't. I use PB Blaster as like a penetrating oil, and WD-40 as a lubricant.
well, and that's the other thing is WD-40 is not really. It's a
Well,
real light lubricant, but it's not a
yeah.
long lasting.
No.
Uh, or maybe I'm kind of the same with you there. WD-40 is maybe a really light penetrant or a light lubrication. What I use WD-40 the most for is uh, preservatives. Just I spray it on everything.
Yeah.
I probably used a gallon of WD-40 on this 339, trying to keep it from rusting up, sitting in the shop
Yeah.
in a bag. And I'll go through and spray stuff down that's in bags or on shelves and stuff that I don't want rusted up. I'll spray them down. Um, that's what I use WD-40 the most for. Um, the PB Blaster, it's one of the best, one of the better uh, penetrants to break stuff loose.
So
There is some stuff that's better. I seen a deal on Facebook that showed up about mixing ATF and acetone is supposed to be better or one of the best penetrants there is. I've never tried it, but uh,
so I don't
there's
remember how earlier today I went down a rabbit hole of that whole thing, and um as a replacement for WD-40, they were talking about vegetable oil and acetone,
yeah,
like 90% vegetable oil and 10% acetone. But so I'm not I don't I'm not real picky on either of them. I use PB Blaster because I have it, and I really want to buy one of the gallon jugs of WD-40 because it comes in this. You can get the sprayer bottle,
yeah,
and it'd be better for like what you're talking about. Like if you try to spray PB Blaster on like a block, it goes everywhere.
yeah,
It bounces on and it ends up all over the floor. And I think the spray bottle would be nicer for that. But like I'm not good at using the right product for the right thing all the time. Like I use PB
yeah,
Blaster for cutting fluid on drill bits, and it works okay
yeah,
for that. Um, I have WD-40. Like I like WD-40 for like squeaky door hinges. It seems to work good for that stuff. probably not the right thing, but I use it for that just because I like the smell of it better than
Yeah.
plaster.
Yeah. Okay, so going back to first responders comment, 3 gallons of diesel to 2 quarts of oil in the oil pan, and it was smoking after 10 minutes.
He wanted to try to help that 4.7 blow up.
Yeah.
It wasn't doing a good enough job on its own, I guess.
I say they usually don't need a whole lot of help. I've got one sitting out in my field that chucked a lifter out and
Yeah.
it got hung up, and then ended up being a valve because it kissed a piston. So an ugly truck experience says it tastes good. I'm not sure if it's PB Blaster or WD-40 that tastes good. I would say WD-40 probably tastes better than PB Blaster.
I'm not sure that I've ever tasted either of them on purpose.
No, not on purpose. There's a lot of stuff I've tasted accidentally in the shop, and sometimes purposely. It's like, kind of smells good, and usually the taste don't follow the smell. Busted Grill's been using Seafoam Deep Creep as penetrating oil, which would be similar to PB Blaster. Kroll, it's like Kroil, is kind of an industrial type PB Blaster, and all the industrial places I've worked usually have a Kroll oil, or at work where I work now, we have the CRC. I can't remember what they call it now, but it's a penetrant.
Is it freeze off?
No,
I don't even know
knocker
if they
loose.
I don't even know if they make that CRC freeze off. I got some of it. I think I got a case of it out of the really old stock when I worked at O'Reilly in high school, and I'll be honest, I wasn't impressed with it. I used all of it
Yeah,
up because I had it, but it didn't seem like it was a very good penetrant.
yeah. I don't. Well, I'm not sure if it's CRC brand, but it's called knocker loose, and it smells just like PB Blaster.
Yeah.
And we'll have guys walk around the plant trying to lube up bearings and stuff with it. Rollers for conveyors.
Oh yeah.
And then they wonder why the bearings go out. It's like, because that's not a lubricant; it's a penetrant. It'll break it free, but then you got to follow up with some actual oil.
Well, if you keep it spraying it on there constantly and keep it wet on there,
Yeah,
I mean
but
it's slippery.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Water, yeah. WD-40. If no one knows, WD is water displacing, and the story I heard is 40 comes from it was the 40th recipe that they tried and actually worked.
Yeah.
And I think originally, like you were saying earlier, the recipe you said to kind of take the place of WD-40 is vegetable oil or some
Yeah,
sort of
vegetable
oil.
oil and
And
acetone.
I think the original WD-40 was a fish oil, and that gave it its unique smell.
Okay.
But and that's why it used to. They say it was, it's uh, harmless. You can eat it. I mean, I would say not in large quantities, uh, but now the new formula, it smells the same, but it's not the same stuff, and probably doesn't work as good as the old stuff. But uh, I'm sure everybody's probably used it for spraying in distributor caps to get moisture out of a distributor cap, or
Yeah.
something like that. I've used it for that quite a bit.
I don't really use WD-40 that often. Like I
I
said,
use
I want to get the spray bottle with the gallon to fill it back up.
and quality control has put the link to the after hours live, which will be coming up in about 10 minutes, because it's at 8:05. I give us kind of a 5-minute window to get things set up and everything, but there's the link right there to that. And then when we get there, we'll put a link up to if anybody wants to come in live. I will say, let's be a little more let's be a little courteous on being live. If you come in and kind of run everybody over, I'll kick you out. I'll just leave it at that. See. I'm not sure if I've heard of certified free.
I haven't.
Apparently, it's
Yeah, I I might have to see if I can get my hands on some of that stuff.
yeah,
PB Blaster
PB
tastes
Blaster does
I,
it.
I can't say that I've ever accidentally sprayed myself with PB Blaster, but I'm definitely gonna after that comment I'm gonna try my best not to ever taste it. I was looking at this one first responder garage Teflon gel lube from Zenex for rollers, door hinges, etc. Awesome stuff. And then he goes on to say it clings and stays. It's even hard to get off your hands.
Huh. Yeah, we've got some stuff at work. It's a belt dressing, and it's almost like a glue.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of like if you get Lucas on your hands, it just but but it's stickier. I mean, it don't ever harden up, but it's a belt dressing. Uh, I hate getting that stuff on my hands because it's hard to even wash off.
yeah.
Let's see.
Ugly truck, the pouring water down the carburetor. I've done that before.
Yep, yep, yep. And when you're suggesting for someone else to do that, you always got to remind them to use like a really small a small
You
straw.
gotta use a garden hose.
Yeah, I've heard of people taking a water hose and hey, if a little bit's good, more is better. And then that with bent rods.
Yeah, it'll clean something out for sure.
Yeah, yeah. There's lots of tricks uh, and additives and stuff that people have used, and ballistol is an excellent preservative. Not sure if I've heard of
Never heard
it.
of that one either. Been doing the water truck.
For part storage, vulcanizing wax.
I used to order stuff from Kimball Midwest, but I've never heard of a vulcanizing wax. Is that like a is that like that blue stuff that comes on end mills and stuff when you buy them?
Uh, the nice thing about for like storing in this block of stuff, I was trying to keep it from flash rusting. I used a lot of WD-40 to keep it from flash rusting while I was working because you can pretty well just wipe it off with a rag or just a little bit of brake clean, and then it's completely dry. It doesn't take a lot of effort to get it
Yeah.
dry. Uh, but then as soon as you get done with it, you need to put some more WD-40 back on it.
And that's why you buy it by the gallon.
Yep. Amsoil Power Foam is great too. Yeah, Amsoil makes a lot of good products. Evaporust makes a rust inhibitor.
I've heard of that, but I don't think I've ever
Yeah.
used it.
Irish Outlaws showed up. I seen J-Bo was popped in here right about when we're getting ready to pop out, but we could always, everybody's more welcome to head over to the After Hours live show. We'll be cutting this one off here real shortly. We got
Irish
less than a
says
minute.
Stay-Bill fogging spray.
Okay, yeah, Skate Punk here has mentioned the ATF and acetone also. Yeah, that white crud that, what's the fancy technical term for that white crusty stuff that aluminum and metal makes?
I think that's aluminum oxide, isn't it?
Yeah, anyways, but yeah, He said it loosens that white concrete stuff that they make.
Yeah. I know what he's talking about, but I don't know what the technical name for
Yeah.
it is.
Uh,
Oh, if he doesn't have WD-40, the stable fogging spray
yeah,
to spray down his engine blocks.
yeah. I've always got WD-40, so oxidation and electrolysis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, we will be transferring that actually right now. We're going to cut this one off, and we'll be going to the after hours live. Let me see if I can run up here and get that link. There's been quite a bit going on since then. Quality control put the link. Everybody grab that link, and we'll be back at 8:05 for the after hours live. So I appreciate everybody coming in. If you don't have time to come over there, I appreciate you guys stopping in here tonight. Thanks for Travis for showing up. Of course, he'll be joining us with the after hours live, and so thanks again, everybody. And we'll see you next week on Perpetual Projects channel for the Tailgate Talk. And if you're going to stick around, we'll see you in just a few minutes on the after hours.
See you guys in a bit.